tap behind her.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Welcome to our June 17th Board of Supervisors meeting. I want to call this meeting to order. I'm going to ask Craig Slay, would you pray for us?
I'll be glad to. Let's pray. Lord God, what a privilege it is to start our meetings before you. I pray, Father, that you'll be very real and present here with us today, that your power, that your mercy will fall on us today, that these gentlemen will have everything that they need today to make good and wise decisions. Father, I pray that you'll give them discernment, you'll give them wisdom, so that they can hear from you and consider what's in the best interest of all citizens of our county, and that their decisions will reflect your will for our county. Father, that we will be good examples today for you in this time. Lord, I pray that people will see what happens here today and will be reminded that when we submit to your authority, Father, good things can happen for people. I pray, Father, that our community will be blessed and benefited because these men are submitted to your authority. God, thank you that we can celebrate today, that we can enjoy the fruits of labor and successes. Father, that comes from you, and we give you the credit for all that is accomplished in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Craig.
All right, we're going to start off under public comments with, we have a resolution to recognize and congratulate the Brandon High School baseball team for winning the 2024 Class 7A championship. And I want to first start off with recognizing head coach Daniel Best. I've got an assistant coach, Philip O'Brien, and then Mr. Sam Williams is here with the ball coach. If you guys would come forward, and any other assistants.
McGinnis, Blake Tootin, Zee McQueen, and Kyle Keaton.
And I think Daniel Best was named Coach of the
Coach
Year.
7A
Congratulations.
statewide. Thank you. All right. All right, now I'm gonna turn it over to Craig.
All right. Gentlemen, as an alumnus of the Brandon High School baseball team, circa 1989, it gives me great pleasure to introduce these guys who picked up the torch and quite some time later was able to bring it across the finish line with the state championship. Guys, congratulations on winning the state title. That's a huge deal for our community. We're just really excited to be able to celebrate with you. I know you appreciate your coaches who have done so much to get you guys in a position to have that opportunity. I know the families of these kids are grateful for the leadership, the coaches, and administration, the staff at the school that insists on excellence. Excellence in athletics, but also excellence in academics. Coach, I want to give you high marks for insisting that these guys hit the books in addition to hit the field. And it's a real privilege for me to be able to read this resolution. You're going to hear your name called. I hope I don't butcher it. Okay. So if you hear something that sounds pretty close to your name, come on. And so when I call your name, I want you to come up. I'm going to try to call these out in classification order. But I'm going to read this resolution, gentlemen, to celebrate the state title that Brandon High School baseball team has brought to us. Whereas the Brandon High School baseball team completed the championship season by winning the 2024 Mississippi High School Athletic Association Class 7A state championship, defeating Hernando High School 1-0 in an exciting title game that was played at Trustmark Park on May the 23rd. Whereas the Bulldogs finished the season with an impressive overall record of 25 wins against 12 losses and 7-3 in district play. And the Bulldogs swept through the playoffs by besting Biloxi, Ocean Springs, Northwest Rankin.
Awesome.
I had to get that in there. Before earning the championship over Hernando. Whereas the Bulldogs are led by head coach and Mississippi Association of Coaches Coach of the Year Daniel Best, and assistant coaches Philip O'Brien, Todd McGinnis, Blake Tootin, Zee McQueen, and Kyle Keaton. And the administration of Brandon High School is to be commended for its outstanding commitment to both academic and athletic success. Whereas the members of the 2024 Brandon High School baseball team are seniors. Xavier Miles, you'll come forward. Cam Keys, Caleb Curry. It is June, by the way, it's the middle of June, so some of those guys may have scooted off.
Either in camp or
They
somewhere.
moved on to other things. Jonathan Crane, Gage Yates, Brady Gary, Nelson Haas, Walker Hooks, and Ethan Trimble. Our juniors, Cam Murphy, Russell Robbins, Jay McQueen,
You play first base.
Brayson Hall,
Where are you going?
Blanken Parrish,
Good luck, man.
Wade Wilson, Keith Forbes, Jackson Clark, Ty Estridge. Y'all may have to go in front. Jacob Chancellor. Sophomores. Jacob Barrett. Hayes Carr. Colton Williams. Ty Jones. Braden Allen. Freshman. Braden Queen. Braden Walker. Grady Smith. Cam Johnson. Did our manager show up, Trey Adcock, right here? We're without a manager this morning.
I think that might be a joke.
Oh, man. That should be everybody that's here today.
Ain't no way we gonna be able to. Y'all got to kneel down.
You gonna stand on the chair?
We want the supervisors to hear this part while your picture's being taken, so y'all pay attention to the camera. I'm gonna read this last section here, because I think this is one of the most important pieces of this resolution. Whereas the most impressive statistic compiled by the 2024 Class 7A state champions is the team's overall grade point average, which stands at 3.48.
Wow.
Way to go.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
Congratulations. Good job.
Nice job, man.
Good job, y'all.
Good job. Great job, man.
Hey, Trey, appreciate your work, man. Thank you, sir.
Pitching and all that. What's that? Got a couple of them going to Southern.
We got plenty of seats now.
Thank you, Chuck.
Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
We've got one other matter that came to light very late in the week, that I'd like to highlight and bring to the board's attention. Brian, please step up here, my friend. You didn't get your family here today?
I didn't even know they were coming.
Okay, let's get, all of our family needs to come forward. Mom, kids, let's come forward. And I'm gonna let Brian introduce everybody since, I'm tell folks who these nice people are coming up here to support you.
This is my wife Angela, my oldest son Bailey, middle son Brooks, and youngest Riley.
Y'all are fixing to experience a life-changing event.
Anytime we find out that there's some really good news about our staff that has been highlighted by other agencies, third parties, other groups of individuals who specialize in certain areas. For those who don't know, Brian is our building official and does a fantastic job for us throughout the county, has served exemplary in our building department, and is widely regarded as one of the best that there is. We now have official paperwork declaring that he is one of the best that there is. This past week, the Building Officials Association of Mississippi awarded their Building Official of the Year award to our own Brian Neeson.
All right.
So we didn't really give Brian much lead time that this was going to happen, but I do appreciate the fact that your family has chosen to come forward. We're going to get a photo with the supervisors. It goes without saying that our building department does an exceptional job and has been under fantastic leadership. I want to steal a little of Brian's thunder by pointing out how pleased we are and how proud we are of the leadership of this department. Ms. Renee Lawrence, who has decided that she wants to leave us for some reason and retire, has led this department exceptionally well, and she has surrounded this department with folks who have great skills and abilities, and that goes throughout the entire department. It's not just Brian. Brian is an example of those who excel at the highest levels and has been recognized for his ability. And we're just super proud and thankful that Brian is with us and that Brian's going to be able to take responsibility now for that department and move forward in a leadership position. It's a great feeling to know that we're in good hands. So thank y'all.
Thank you.
Craig, ask if you are working in this department and you are here.
Yes.
If
you're
you
with the building
work,
officials,
please stand, because y'all are a team.
yeah, absolutely. So they
And-
came and supported Brian. which is a
Y'all
good thing.
stand.
Thank y'all for
Over the past years, our office, Renee, and her office, now Brian, has been recognized for being the best department in the state. All right, we'll move on. Next on our agenda is old business. Well, wait, I got a few comments. Let's take these public comments. If your comments have to do with something further down in the agenda, then we'll get to you later during that time. Philip O'Brien?
Yeah, that was one of the coaches.
Okay.
Okay, that's right. Janet Morgan?
If you would, just state your name and address for the record.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, please.
It's not the least bit intimidating.
We'll get your picture taken.
I'm sure you will. I'm Janet Morgan. I live at 799 Bethel Road, Brandon. I've lived there for almost 20 years. So the reason I'm here is because of the property across the street from me, 798 Bethel Road. It was owned by Gene Sprayberry, and he passed away in 2012, 2013, I'm not sure. And since then, the property has not been maintained, or, you know, the grass is not mowed, the house is not kept up. There's, you know, I've made some phone calls. As far as we know, a company in Alabama owns it now.
I think it's changed hands a time or two.
Several
tax
times.
sales.
I'm not sure what the problem is, but, you know, I maintain my property. My other neighbors do. We work hard. We make investments to make our area look good. Since I retired as a speech language pathologist from Rankin County School District, I have a home office now. And so I have clients that come there, students that I tutor there, and so it's an eyesore, and it.
Don't go too far with that, you know,
Okay,
business
so-
in a house.
Okay, I'm just saying that there's many reasons
Yes.
why you know.
Well, have y'all received this as a nuisance?
I can speak on this. I think this has been a nuisance property that's come before us, and Kathy went, and it was tied up in the estate at one time. Then it went through a tax sale a time or two. I think it's been different companies that's owned this property, and Kathy's supposed to be working on it. I think she stepped out.
798.
798 Bethel Road.
Do you have any status on the tax sale issue? Has it actually matured? Do we know?
All right.
I bet I got somebody somewhere close by that can tell me no if it's matured or not, or roughly.
Ms. Morgan, we will put our attention on it.
Okay.
And the different departments. Sometimes these things take way too long when they're in court. But I'm sure that they'll mash the accelerator. 798.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Dwight Cole,
No,
I think Dwight is here for a zoning issue later on.
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay, it's on the public comments. All right, that's it. Anybody else? Is Kevin Adams here? Do you, oh, Kevin, come up here. I know who you are. Do you want to speak or not? I couldn't hear you.
Morning.
Good morning,
Good
Kevin.
Good morning, Mr. Steve Gaines.
Good morning, sir.
What are you gonna ask me?
I'm just gonna ask you, are you having a good day? And thank you for coming.
Yes, and Mr. Steve Gaines, do you still have your Dodge Ram truck?
Yes, sir, I do.
What kind of truck do you have, Mr. J. Bishop?
I have a GMC.
Sierra? It has flashers on it too?
No, I don't have flashers.
You have flashers?
Yes, sir.
Why? I thought all you supposed to have flashers.
You don't have to.
What kind of truck you have, Mr. Brad Calhoun?
Got a Chevrolet.
Silverado?
I'm not sure.
What
Yeah,
kind of
I
truck?
guess so. Yeah.
What kind of truck you have, Mr. Scott Bailey?
GMC Sierra.
And what kind of truck you have, Mr. Sid Scarborough?
Got a Ford
F-150?
F-150 with
so,
flashing lights.
okay, so, can you tell me, Mr. Scott Bailey, can you tell me what Daniel Cross is doing now since he lost for Chancery Clerk?
Working in the private sector.
I thought he was still the firefighter teacher.
He's not. No, sir.
Not anymore?
He's retired. He retired out completely.
And, where's Jerry Morrison now since Sid Scarborough, since he's lost for senator?
I think he's working for Decamper Stamps.
I-
Is that right?
Keith Steen.
The Public Service Commission?
Yeah.
But I thought he was still working as Morrison Welding.
I think he does that too.
Okay,
What can we help you with today?
how you been?
I'm doing good.
Well, what street I live on? The street, can I tell you what street I live on?
Yes, sir.
Sure, address.
Sir Charles Court, by Rouse Elementary. I live by Rouse Elementary, next to it.
Okay.
Well, what district is that? 4 or 3?
I think that's 3.
3.
Yes, Mr.
That's
Brad.
that's in the city of Brandon, but that is District 3.
All right.
Well, where the Honda place is?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you're my new supervisor then, since I moved.
Okay.
Kevin, thank you for coming up. We need to move on in our agenda. Thank you. And
And Mr. J. Bishop,
Yes, sir.
why didn't, when I read the newspaper, why didn't your wife Penny didn't come to the ceremony swearing in?
That's a good question.
hey,
Where was she at that
I'm
time?
gonna tell y'all. Kevin is one of the most intelligent people you'll ever meet. He doesn't forget a thing. But Kevin, we do need to move on in our agenda.
Okay.
And we'll
Thank you for coming,
entertain
Kevin.
discussions later. Thank you, sir.
Do not let Kevin ask the board attorney anything.
And Kevin, my Dodge is a piece of junk. I tell you, you wouldn't want to ride in it. All right, old business.
I make a motion to approve June 3rd, open.
Brad makes a motion to approve old business. Do I have a second? Jay seconds that motion. Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, next is our consent agenda. I know we were all here early today.
Motion to approve.
Okay, Jay makes a motion to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
I second.
Sid seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, our tax assessor, Ms. McNitch. Good morning.
All right, item A, petitions to adjust to 2023 homestead exemption supplemental roll.
Motion.
Brad makes a motion.
Second.
Scott seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
B, petitions for change of assessment in 23 real and 2017 through 23 personal property assessments.
Motion to approve.
Jay makes a motion to approve.
Second.
Brad seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
And C, authority to void 23 tax sale for Rankin County parcel E8P3210 and refund any tax sale purchasers. This was a church and it should have been exempt.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Brad makes a motion. Scott seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Ms. McNitch. If you're sitting out there and you think, boy, they went through that fast, we have their offices and our offices. We've researched this stuff, her office, and these were some errors made in years past that we're cleaning up, really, is what it is. All right, let's go to our purchasing clerk, Mr. Pittman.
Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Pittman.
I'm here for approval of copier contracts for 4 offices. One is the Board of Supervisors office, which is, we're going from a RICO copier to a RJ Young copier leased by them. And the circuit clerk has two copiers that we're gonna continue with RICO on there. And the Chancery Court is gonna be a RICO copier.
All right, we're gonna do A and B together? Okay.
I make a motion to approve A and B.
Second.
Brad makes a motion to approve A and B. Scott seconds that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
My second agenda item is
C,
C, and it's authority to renew semi-annual term bids for the unit system for an additional period of 6 months. We had scrub slurry and microsurfacing. The primary vendor did not want to renew their pricing. The first alternate did, so I'm asking that we approve the first alternate on that pricing, and then the metal culverts and polypropylene culverts, crushed aggregates, gravel, soil stabilization, and polyurethane foam application, curbing, gutter removal and replacement. All the primary vendor, they all agreed to continue their pricing for 6 months.
and that's 2 through 7.
So
Yes.
who was the alternate?
T.L. Wallace.
T.L.
On
Wallace
the
is
microscoping.
On the, yeah,
On the microscoping was T.L. Wallace.
But
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna have,
we're done, right? We'll be done.
We think so.
yes.
All right.
This is just protective in the
Okay.
event that for some reason we need access to that service we got.
All right.
We
Go
got
back
it.
up.
Hard to
Mr.
say.
Slade, do we need to do that in 2 separate motions since two vendors?
One motion.
Let's just do C.
make the motion to approve.
All right, Brad makes a motion to approve item C, which would be 1 through 7. Have a second?
I second.
Sid seconds that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
All
you,
right,
sir.
Thank you.
All right, Mike Harrison. Road manager.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Road work accomplished for May and road work scheduled for June.
Yeah, what'd y'all get accomplished?
A lot.
I'm messing with you. A
About
lot,
50
I
miles
know.
of chip seal and about 60 miles of micro.
How
Just,
many pages do we have down to now?
We're down to about 4
pages.
on limb pickup. I know what Jay's asking.
Yeah.
Um,
We've been
Just-
working 2 crews 6 days a week trying to get
Yeah.
caught up.
Just for the record, there's about 1,000 miles of county roads in Rankin County that our road department takes care of. All right, do I have a motion to approve work accomplishments?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, Brad makes a motion, Scott seconds that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Have B, request approval of Center Point utility permit for Lost Oak Lane, District 4,
All right,
gas line.
I make a motion to approve that.
Second.
Jay seconds it. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank y'all.
Mike, well, hey, Mike, one question. What about the Walker Circle?
Yes, I've got a thing, go ahead and do it while I'm up here. I've got,
While he's doing that, when we do these, like this last one, approval for Center Point utility permit, we're approving them to be able to maybe bore under our road or put a line down in our right of way. We're not inspecting they are required to inspect their stuff. We go back and inspect the part that's in our right of way. And that was,
so, we have a lady that's kinda encroached in the right of way with some flowers and brick stuff, and what I was gonna do was get authorization for Craig to write a letter to her to, either remove it or we're gonna have to remove it, cause it's impeding the road right away.
is it in the ditch? I mean, would that be your drainage area?
Yes, sir.
Wow,
Well, it looks very nice.
it
though.
looks good. I
It's
hate to take
pretty
it out.
nice, that's why.
Yeah. I
I
thought it
see
might be
it.
somebody's driveway or
Did
something.
you give her permission to see him?
I've actually got.
Permission to tear it up.
I got that one and one other. Somebody put a goal post out by the road, on the edge of the road with a concrete pad that's gotta be removed,
Like a basketball goal post?
like a basketball goal.
All this is down in District 1?
Yes, sir.
Hey, the last item, did it need any action, Craig? That he added to send, we don't have to take any action for you to send,
To act on.
You're just gonna do-
The board just is acknowledging that
Okay.
we've got an encroachment and it needs to be addressed, so, all right, Mike's telling you he's gonna flip that over to me.
Yeah. Very publicly. Very publicly.
all right? Thank
I
you, Mike.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Next, Tim Parker, County Engineer, Consulting Engineer.
Thank you, Mr. President. The first item we have, item A, is approval of payout number 2 from Hemp Hill Construction Company, Inc. for work performed on the Gun Road Improvements Phase 2 project in the amount of $350,795.31 and authority to issue that check. I will note on this payout, this is all water line work, but there's no retainage held out of that number. As Hemp Hill has done in the past, they've provided a certificate of deposit, and it's in here for the county to hold in lieu of retainage. And Hemp Hill's done that on projects before. It's a common thing that some contractors do.
There's, the collateral is in place. The county is listed as an interested party on that CD. They're actually named on the CD. So it's adequate security.
So do we have to sign off on it for to cash it in or to close it?
Yeah, so both parties have been
Okay.
part of the liquidation if necessary.
Yeah.
All right. So far, Jay, we've not had to do that with this particular company.
All right, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Sid makes a motion.
Second.
Scott seconds a motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right,
Item B, Mr. President, is Canal Place. We're recommending approval of preliminary plat. This is actually a PRV development on Lake Harbor Road out off of 43. It was approved as Canal Place Part 1, and they were gonna have a second phase. I think when they got to doing some of their due diligence, there's a channel crossing there, and there was gonna be some significant work as part of the part two to realign that channel. And so they're just calling it Canal Place because there won't be a part two. So they took part one off. So just as a formality, we're recommending approval of the preliminary plat for Canal Place.
All right, I'll make the motion.
Second.
Scott, second the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Mr. Slade.
Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
First item under, I'll tell you what, the first five items under my section A through E will be to set a public hearing for June 27, 2024 at 9 a.m. You see those 5 items that are listed there. I'd ask for one motion on those 5. Motion approved.
Second. Any other discussion? I have a short discussion. One of them is in my district. It's a nuisance property, and when we set these, it means that we'll go post them and it'll have a date, like some of you are here for a date. It doesn't mean it's approved or turned down or whatever, it's just setting the hearing. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next 2 items, F and G, are to set public hearings for July 1. You see those, a conditional use permit and adoption of our flood damage prevention ordinance. Those are for July 1.
I'll make a motion. Set those.
All right,
Second.
Brad makes a motion, Jay seconds that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Item H is a public hearing on Morgan Properties LLC, conditional use permit, 1845 Highway 471. It's a District 2 property. We'll open that public hearing. Ellen Morgan, Morgan Properties 471, is seeking a conditional use permit to expand Morgan Stone, located at 1837 Highway 471. They purchased the adjoining property to the north of the existing stone yard in January of '24. They have no immediate plans for the property other than storing stone. That's a 2-acre parcel, zone C2. Hearing notice was published and the property's posted. The Office of Community Development has received no calls in opposition. That public hearing is open. I'll ask if there is anyone here to speak in opposition to the Morgan Properties LLC conditional use permit request. Anyone here to speak in opposition on that matter? Mr. President, I don't see anyone here to speak in opposition on that matter. At this time, we'll close that public hearing and be appropriate to take action.
Make a motion.
All right, Scott makes a motion,
Second.
Sid seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Item I is a public hearing on the Jonathan Moore conditional use permit at 108 Mount Helm Road, so District 2 property. I'll open that public hearing. Jonathan Moore is seeking a conditional use permit to add a portable ice vending machine to the existing business Fannin Farm and Garden. It's located at 108 Mount Helm Road. It is about the size of a regular vending machine. This machine, proposed machine is. It will be located next to the water meter and power at the corner of Mount Helm and Highway 471. It's a 2.03 acre parcel. This property is zone C2. Hearing notice was published, property was posted. The Office of Community Development has not received any calls in opposition. Gentlemen, as we have done in the past, we have a number of conditions that are requested by the staff. I'll go over those quickly. As it relates to these outdoor ice vending machine setups, we have a few requirements. If approved, contingent upon receipt of a survey that demonstrate that the unit will not encroach on the public right-of-way and on any private utility easements. We don't want any encroachment of the unit itself. The vending machine must be substantially connected to a concrete pad, rendered immovable and capable of withstanding wind speeds of at least 150 miles an hour, just similar to all of our building construction and our wind load requirements. This unit will need to comply with those. Ice vending machine unit must be protected from potential vehicle impact through permanently installed steel or concrete bollards. Bollards must be planted or painted so that they're visible to motorists. Ice vending machine must meet all the requirements of the American with Disabilities Act for accessibility. No third-party advertising of any kind is permitted on or adjacent to this machine. The unit must be visibly well lit for safety purposes. The area around the unit must be kept clean of garbage and debris. These things come in a process that allows for the machine to actually bag And so from time to time, there are bags, people buy them, break the bag open, drop the ice in the thing, and then what happens with the bag? And so we like for there to be a trash can kept and maintained close by for that purpose. The conditional use permit is only for Mr. Moore. It's not transferable. If it's desired to be transferable at any point, it needs to come back before this board for consideration. And we have always done this, and so we put this on here for the board's consideration. Because these were relatively new to us within the past couple of years, this board took the position, we're gonna give a 1-year only conditional use permit, and it needs to be renewed. We now have a little bit of a track record with other examples throughout the county, and my understanding is that we don't frequently get these as repeats or of problems associated with other conditions. We haven't had any come back before us for consideration, and so I'm simply offering up now, if the board wants to make a change based on prior history, it can do so, but the staff is unwilling to make that call. Y'all got to make the calls. So this current application has a 1-year trigger on it, and will require a renewal.
I'm good with scrapping that.
Okay.
I am too.
But
I
we need
think
to maintain
we-
it.
We've gotta have something. What about, I mean, the 1 year don't bother me, but if you don't like it, can we do 2 years?
I mean, I was just thinking of our staff, so we wouldn't have to just keep
I
doing
mean,
it.
somebody's going, sending letters, I mean, they're not paying us.
Yeah, that's the point. And the prior examples, we've not gotten any communication of complaints about these
But
units
if
from
we
others.
scrap it and the word gets out, and then we have,
But if they start leaving trash,
But it's
we
still
can
conditions.
take them, tear it
It's
down.
still- It'd be
Yes.
considered a nuisance.
Yes, you always have it. What we were
Well,
doing
that's a
with the
condition.
1-year permit was to make it so that there was a reason why the board would have a discussion about it. There would be a permit request that had to come forward from the applicant.
Well, it's a legit
That-
concern. Pearls had to have them removed before because of the trash.
Yes.
So as long as, I think, like I said, it's part of the record, and if it's not maintained, we'll just have them tear it down.
Right. So my thought now is, Steve's, I think this is Steve's district, isn't it?
no,
So-
it's
Oh,
actually
is it Scott's?
Scott's
Okay.
district. It's
So,
close.
well, you've heard the stated expression of concern. My thought would be, let's leave this in place, and if there are no issues, the later permit can lift and remove that restriction. As long as we stay good and compliant in that 1-year period.
On probation.
Then from then on, you
Okay.
don't worry about a continuation of a 1-year. It'll just be a perpetual license at that point.
Can we put them on probation for a year?
Yes, sir. All right, so that would
Does
mean that
work
the
with y'all?
proposed, the
Probation
motion
a
would be
year, if
to,
there's no problems, they're off probation.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay.
so the motion would be to adopt or to approve the conditional use application adopting the staff's recommended conditions.
That is my motion,
Okay.
if that hearing's closed.
Is the hearing
Yes.
closed?
All right?
I'll
Hold,
second.
let's don't do the hearing yet, because I didn't even ask if anybody's here to speak in opposition. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition on the Jonathan Moore conditional use permit? Anyone speak in opposition on that? Okay? I don't see anyone here to speak in opposition, Mr. President. It'd be appropriate to take action. We'll close that public hearing.
My motion, Steve.
Okay.
I'll
Scott makes a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Brad seconds that motion. Any other comments? All in favor?
All right, next item under my section of the agenda, let me get back to where I'm supposed to be here, sorry about that. It's a public hearing on the Paul Crocker dimensional variance request at 240 Hebron Hill Drive. It's a District 3 property. We'll open that public hearing. Mr. Crocker is requesting a dimensional variance to construct a 24 by 36 carport in the front yard ahead of the front plane of the home at 240 Hebron Hill Drive. Accessory structures or uses must be located to the side or rear of the main structure or use and are prohibited from placement in the required front yard and ahead of the front plane of the main structure. This property drops off severely on both sides of the home. The only location available to build the carport is in front of and to the side of this home. The carport will be built to complement the existing home in structure, painted to match, with roof pitch and architectural shingles to match. This is a 3.2 acre parcel, is zoned RE1. Hearing notice was published, and the property was posted. The Office of Community Development has received no calls in opposition on this matter. That public hearing is open. I'll ask if there is anyone here to speak in opposition to Paul Crocker's requested dimensional variance application. Anyone here to speak in opposition on that matter? Mr. President, I don't see anyone here to speak in opposition on that matter. At this time, it'll be appropriate to take action. We'll close that public hearing.
I make a motion to approve.
I second.
Brad makes a motion to approve, Sid seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Thank you. Item K, gentlemen, is a public hearing on the Estrella Zachary, Rankin County initiated rezoning request, Stoll Road. This is a District 4 property. Ms. Zachary Mr. Zachary filed an application to rezone a 10.44 acre parcel on Stoll Road from R1 to RE1. The county is also initiating a rezoning of 7 surrounding properties from R1 to RE1. These properties have been classified as R1 since zoning was adopted in October of 2004. These are large lots, and surrounding properties to the east, west, and south are all zoned RE1 residential estate. The change in zoning classification is justified because these are large lots that blend in with the characteristics of surrounding properties, and there is no public water or sewer service to support the R1 zoning classification. The minimum lot area in R1 is 11,500 square feet. And so the hearing notice was published and the property was posted. The Office of Community Development has received no calls in opposition. That public hearing is open. I'll ask if there is anyone here to speak in opposition to the Zachary application to rezone 10.44 acres and the county's initiated rezoning to rezone 7 additional properties that surround this property from R1 to RE1. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition on that matter? Bill?
Keith, can you pull that map up that's on the bottom left? Not the other one that shows in color. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought Keith was doing it. Yeah, that's it. All right, all the green is RE1, right? That part in the white is R1.
Or bluish white.
Well, all right. Now, if you are in R1, the restrictions as far as having an animal or a horse or livestock, you would be in violation. Okay. So if your property is in that lighter colored area and you have livestock, if we enforce it, you're in violation. The green is areas that you can have livestock. And that's why these people come to us, because I know, I feel sure they want to have a horse or something. Now then, let's start the public comments.
Good morning.
Name and address to the board, please.
My name is Phil Whitehead, and we actually have property on 432 Stoll Road. And so we're going to be to in that white area, we're going to be to the right. We're going to have the parcels that are, there's actually 4 parcels right there that we're a part of our family. And we've had that parcel just because my son actually has a property out there. He lives there, and we have the parcels around it. So you see where the little pond is on there? I think it's a little house, I guess. I don't know what you guys call that blue little dot. That's where a house is located, in that smaller cutout.
In the lighter blue.
The light blue, yeah.
The parcel all the way to the right.
Yeah, just
The little corner.
Yeah, I got you.
And we want to make sure, and this is interesting, we just saw when the RE was proposed, that it looked like you could put a trailer on that property. And that concerns us because we bought out there because we wanted to have the ability to have a property that would be nice. And the things that have gone in out there have been very, I would say, very nice. The property's on, Stump Ridge and coming up that way.
And the road that you have now.
The road is, Steve, you and I talked about that, and we appreciate you guys. I think it was the last gravel road in Rankin County.
No.
Or maybe not. But
No.
it's,
I live on a gravel road.
so it was, that's been a blessing for sure. And just the R1, we were concerned about that because it concerned us that somebody would come out there, and we're trying to make that a great development for Rankin County, and didn't want somebody to put something on that property that was gonna plant that there, and it would be there forever, that could devalue our properties with something along those lines.
Let Renee address that.
We typically, we only allow a mobile home in the RE1 zoning classification where they can establish that there's a hardship. And so typically what that means is somebody has aging parents, they're already resident
Right.
in a stick-built house, and they need care. And so the request typically would be, can we move a trailer in that scenario and allow the caregiver to live in the trailer while they care for the individuals in the stick-built house, typically as family. And the board always sets a condition that once the hardship has been removed, the trailer has to go. So that's the unique set of circumstances where you would see in RE1 zoning classification, where you could see a mobile home trailer situation,
Right.
but it's very tightly controlled. We don't allow them outside of establishing a hardship situation.
We have very few that make it through.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's the percentage, what do you think is what's the percentage of people that happens with?
Well, we don't get very many
Don't
requests,
have
so
many
we may
requests.
get less than 5 a year.
Right.
And of that, typically, the only ones that come before the board are after they've been vetted fully
Right.
by the staff. This board never even hears it unless it's a legitimate issue. So I would say that the ones make it this far, Phil, they get to the public meeting, more than likely, unless there's strong opposition from surrounding property owners, and who's gonna come in here and say, no, I don't want that family to be able to have care.
Right.
So it's,
Right.
it's not overused.
Right.
And this board's really careful about making sure that it doesn't get abused. We state very clearly that that unit cannot be rented. It can't be occupied by anybody but the caregiver. And once the hardship is removed, that trailer's gotta go.
Right.
It's gotta leave.
Are there houses on all those lots?
No.
No.
We have the, as I pointed out, we have the 2 10-acre tracts, and then there's a third 10 that has a cutout of about 4.5 acres. So we've got 25 acres right there, which you'd be bringing us into.
Yeah.
And I guess talking about water, not having, we knew we would have to have a well out there, and that was not a concern that was really not a concern for us. So my question to the RE1 is that, if you change that, what's the use that wants to go on that property, the reason for the change? Can you guys?
1 acre.
Huh?
It's a minimum of 1 acre, and only if they can clear health department requirements as it relates to septic. So the big issue in this area here is that there's just no infrastructure there at the moment. The water infrastructure is not adequate to serve larger developments. It's one of the reasons why there's not been any significant subdivision development in that area, because it's still infrastructure poor.
Right.
And so, let me point one thing.
Would our property there keep, it's called that green all around it, so that infrastructure needs to come through that property? Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is that in order for there to be denser development activity, something smaller than 1 acre, there has to be sewer. There has to be some organized sewer infrastructure to account for that.
You'll never have it, don't worry.
Usually municipalities or close to municipalities only can provide stuff like that.
Right.
Let me point out, directly across Stull is ag.
Yeah.
That means trailer is completely outright allowed directly across Stull Road.
In the white.
So
Right.
if trailers are the big issue here, this action today is not gonna solve that at all.
Right. Well, I mean, it is a concern, so your action, that's fine. I appreciate you sharing that. For us, so you're saying this person may want to break this 10-acre tract down to a smaller.
No, I think what they're trying to do is to set it so that from a zoning standpoint, they don't violate our zoning ordinance by having livestock, a horse, cattle.
Well, look, we've got we've got 6 horses.
Okay.
You're in violation.
Okay, so I mean,
Yeah,
so
you're trying to
that's,
fix it for everybody.
so that's not, that truly is something that's being brought up that, that we have not been, it's not been, you know, said to us in the past.
let's
Nobody's
cut to the
complained
chase.
about it.
Yeah, let's
Right.
cut to the chase here. In '04, 20 years ago, when that board adopted zoning, there was this initial review of all the properties across the county that are in unincorporated county at the time, and there had to be a setting of the initial zoning. And a lot of that's just guesswork, to be quite honest with you,
Sure.
Phil. And so, somebody had something to say about that block of property right there, and they thought it'd be a good idea on the front end to go ahead and have that board 20 years ago zone that as R1, probably on the hope that at some point it could be developed into a
Sewer
subdivision.
and a different, totally
Right.
different atmosphere
Right.
We're just
than what
correct-
we have built out there.
We're really just
Their
correcting
plans
zoning. Yeah.
Right.
were to have, I don't wanna name the subdivision, but to have a high-density type atmosphere through there, through Mount Ham, through Stowe.
Right.
And that changed.
And over 20 years, we've seen how this area has kind of developed, and it's been slow to develop because there's just not infrastructure there.
Right.
And the road was underserved, and so it's.
We're not, hell, we don't want to be in violation since
We're
in violation
you're-
with animals, but I
think
mean,
we could grandfather you in.
Right, right. Well, that's
But-
the
but,
concerns that we have, and
I mean, I think, hopefully you understand that people who own some of these other lots the reason they wanna be out there is the rural agriculture atmosphere.
right,
Have a horse, have a
Right.
show cow. But because the way it's zoned, and we have to look at it as it comes in, they have to tell them, because of zoning, you can't have a horse
Right.
or a cow.
right,
And that's just, the community, the atmosphere says you can, you understand?
right,
As long as I'm in office, I'm not gonna let it go south. And
Right.
if you have a stroke, and I know you got family around you, but if you didn't, and you needed somebody to care for you for a year or two, we would have, that application would come in, it would be vetted, and we would also approve the type of mobile home. We'd
Right.
approve where it sits, we would, that type of stuff.
yeah. I mean, I appreciate your guys' comments, and that's concerns we have. I think maybe there's another property owner here that maybe has some other concerns, but that's some of the ones that we had as far as structures and things of that nature.
Well, and
So-
somebody brought up, maybe you, I've heard, barn dominium.
Right,
I probably have more than a dozen that we have done in the last 4 or 5 years.
right,
They are super nice. They are high-end. They're not metal buildings
Right.
that you think of. Look, when you
Our
look-
neighbor has one. He before he
There you
built
go.
his home,
Yep.
he had one. He lived in that as they built their structure. So now it's got all the facilities
Yep.
inside it, and he uses it for other stuff. But he's got a
Well,
house
they-
out in front of it now.
They have really upgraded those.
Right.
And they pass all the requirements.
The building codes
Yeah.
and
Right,
everything, so I
right,
mean, it's
right.
up to par.
We see a lot of that out there. That was concerns that we had of going forward and seeing that mobile home written into that. That was that's a concern. And so, not that there aren't people that have those. That's not, we're not, but just where we
Well,
are out there.
there's places for them.
Right.
But,
That's all I have.
all
Thank
right,
you.
thank you.
Anyone else that's here to speak on the matter?
My name is Tiffany Hutchins, and we live on 132 September Lane, which is the driveway kind of in the middle of the picture. We own the front 20 acres by the creek, the back 80 acres, and another parcel behind that.
Okay.
My question is, R1 versus RE1, or one of my questions, tax implications, is it's gonna affect our taxes?
Zero.
Zero. Because we've been to the board office and asked, and nobody seemed to be able to, the county office, the zoning office, and nobody was able to answer our questions when it came to asking about taxing implications.
Well, the zone, this department does not handle the taxes. Our tax assessor is who goes out and values. But from going from R1 to RE1, does not have anything to do with your taxes. It's the value of your property, which would be the same if you had an increase and you're in RE1 or you're in R1. It wouldn't have, there's not a different calculation. Am I right with that, Stacy?
That is correct. There's no difference in valuation of those.
If you build something new out
Yes,
there, of
correct.
course, the value of your property's gonna go up because you adding value to the
Correct.
property.
The taxes may increase, but not because of the zoning. It's all taxed on use.
Okay.
And the values of that use will change from year to year. Everybody's property hopefully goes up in value. It shouldn't surprise anybody that when your property value goes up and that new value hits the tax rolls assigned to the same millage, you're gonna pay more in tax. Your value of your property went up. The tax rate didn't go up, the value of your property went up. So we all want our property values to increase, so we need to be prepared
The
for
rate
the
is,
implications that the rate is not going to change because of zoning.
Another question is, according to the tax rolls, there is not a said owner or the person paying the property taxes on this piece of property is not the person listed on the letter that we received. Estrella Zachary's name is not on the GIS viewer on Rankin County's website.
So she was the applicant and the landowner signed on the application.
Okay, that's good. Thank
So
you.
does that mean that the person building this barn dominium is not the one that is owning the property?
She doesn't own it at present, but
Yeah.
she plans to purchase it if this.
They probably wanna do it to make sure.
Okay. So it would just be nice for that to be updated so that we are able to see that, you know, that the actual
We
landowner.
update the public-facing land roll once a year, and that happens at the end of the year, first of the year. It gets updated, and that's static throughout the year. We don't update constantly the public-facing portion of the tax rolls. That information can be
Okay.
received from the Chancery Clerk's
You
office.
can- yeah.
And so my encouragement would be, to the extent that anybody's really interested in ownership issues, they go to the Chancery Clerk's office and secure that information.
Okay, and barn dominium, with it being RE1 versus R1, I know that when our neighbors built their barn dominium, that was with a purpose to build a home in the future. So with the application for this barn dominium, is this gonna be its permanent structure, or is there a
We haven't
plan to
seen
build?
the final layout. Have we seen anything, Renee?
She had a picture of what the home would look like.
Right.
And it's gonna be for permanent.
Okay, as long as it's been, I'm not against a barn dominium. I've seen some very beautiful ones. I just would like to know, like, what in the difference versus R1 versus RE1 allows the barn dominium versus R1 not allowing?
I think that's the next thing we have, right? Because the zoning is what we're dealing with. So the next item under the agenda will be, if the zoning change is approved, we will then go through the conditional use permit to construct this barn dominium. So that's coming.
Okay,
Is,
So
if you'll
barn
wait
dominium
until the
can be
next
put in
item.
R1.
That's correct. So there's a conditional use application, but barn dominium couldn't be placed on R1 regardless.
It
Okay?
can't.
It's not allowed in R1.
it's just not listed,
Okay.
like, on the differences that I have versus R1 versus RE1. I did not see any wording.
Okay, that's
to
the next public
differences.
hearing.
Okay.
We're not there yet.
Okay, and then y'all had also stated that water and sewer, where it's not available, where we're trying to rezone the green from the light blue. So, but if I'm correct, I do believe that water starts right here. and
That's
goes all the
correct.
way down.
That's
So,
correct.
are there any plans to bring water down here if we go?
That's not this, the Board of Supervisors is not in the water business. That's gonna be a water association or a municipality. This board
Somebody's got to
doesn't-
pay for it.
This board
And
doesn't
this
control
board.
that at all.
Okay, but rezoning it would classify as having that available, right?
No, ma'am.
Be no
This
different.
board has nothing to do with water infrastructure.
Whether it's RE1 or R1.
That is
Has
solely a
nothing to
decision
do
by a
with
water
water.
association.
Okay. All right, I think that's all my questions.
Are you opposed?
No, I just wanted to make sure, I just had questions.
You
Yes.
understand where you live really fits better for RE1.
No, I definitely understand. I just
I mean,
wanted
if-
to make sure I understood fully on both
If-
parts, what was going from one to the other.
Now, today, if you sold your property and someone bought it and it came through here, and we saw that it's R1, and they wanted livestock, we would have to say no. Now-
Well, that's beside the point.
I mean, because you're there, I would do everything good to grandfather you. But when it changed hands, the next person is gonna be hurt.
Yeah, okay. I'm satisfied, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And in all fairness, Tiffany had reached out to me, and it won't surprise anybody else out of town and forgot to respond.
All right. So, let's finalize this one, gentlemen. What's before, is there anyone else to speak in opposition or ask questions? Anyone else?
All right.
Okay.
I wanna know, now that you've seen and heard, and I'm sure there's been some misinformation out, and I was out of town when most of this got going, is there anyone here that is opposed to doing this in the RE1?
I don't think we were opposed, we just wanted clarification
Yeah.
on some things. That
Yep,
so,
yep.
that's fine.
Phil?
Well, I'm good, I'm good, I understand where you're trying to go with that, and everything around us is that way, I mean, we're just, as we spoke about the questions that we.
We have got to pay attention to the other side of the road.
Okay. So, gentlemen, we will close that public hearing. At this time, it'll be appropriate to take action on the Zachary and Rankin County initiated rezoning request for this property that you have before you. It'd be appropriate to take action on that matter.
I make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
All right, I made the motion, Brad second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, the subject property, Ms. Zachary's property, and that's all we're talking about on this next item, is just the 10.44 acre parcel.
Show, which parcel is that?
It's going on the very end.
Left.
Very far left? Okay.
All right. With respect to the fact that the board has now rezoned that block, we're identifying, Ms. Renee, put your red dot, there we go. We've identified this 10.44 acre parcel for a conditional use application that is now before the board. It was contingent upon the board actually acting to rezone. Now that it has been rezoned to RE1, that will allow for consideration by the board of the proposed use that Ms. Zachary has brought before you, which is a conditional use permit for the construction of a 4,000 square foot barn dominium on the 10.44 acre parcel. It will resemble a modern style ranch home with white metal siding, black roof, and wooden gables. Ms. Renee, do we have any photos of that? They're in the file, okay. The metal exteriors, as you know, guys, in RE1, we don't allow metal exterior outright in the RE1. It has to be by virtue of a conditional use application. We have posted the property for that purpose. I think there were calls of inquiry, but nobody stated in opposition to the request for the conditional use. So the board had an opportunity at the last planning commission to review that. Y'all saw the rendition, y'all saw the renderings. Do you mind?
Pull it up.
So Renee's gonna pull up, since we've got folks that have already inquired about the visual here, I think it's wise to go through the process of looking at it.
Of the 4,000 square feet, how many feet of that is heated and cooled? All? Good. Go ahead.
Yep, y'all spoke too soon.
No, they're fine.
There you go, there we go. Yeah, that first one was, there you go. So there's a rendering of the structure. Those that have an interest in the rendering can, to the extent you can't see, feel free to reposition yourself so you can see.
If we generally do not allow metal siding, this looks really nice to me. If there's great opposition, I would say we put something up 3 foot, something from the ground up to 3 foot
Some
on
type of stone face,
whatever,
up to
a stone or cypress or
But if
whatever.
there's no opposition.
But y'all look at it, you neighbors. It's 4,000 square foot. I think it is too.
Is it gonna be white siding or? did you
Black,
say-
just like,
I
what?
thought she said white siding, but it's a picture of black.
Well,
A black roof, but white siding.
okay, white side.
I think it's gonna look good.
I do too.
Okay.
Good?
Y'all have any further questions of Ms. Zachary concerning the conditional use application? Renee, do we have any?
Ms. Zachary,
Have anything,
How-
any conditions
Where are you
on
gonna,
this?
where are you gonna put the house on the lot? You got a big lot, I mean, like how far off the road and stuff?
I think it's gonna be, this is what she showed, there's some flood zone out there,
Yep.
so she can't get in the hatched area.
Right.
She's gotta make accessible.
You're gonna be pretty much in the middle of your lot and then,
Yes, but it's gonna we really kind of want to still be a little hidden.
Yeah.
So we're gonna kind of keep a lot of the trees,
in
there
front.
in front.
Ms.
of the
Zachary,
home.
can you remind me, how much land do you have?
It is 10, like 10 and a half.
How far off the road do you think the house will be? About?
Oh,
300 foot?
maybe.
I mean, that's,
I
on a
really-
10-acre lot, that's about what I would, just looking right there.
Well, I'll go quickly.
Well, I mean, to keep your trees in front of it, you need it back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Good, okay. All right, thank you. I'm sorry that, you may have felt, that there was people against you. I don't think that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
They want the community to stay great,
Oh, yeah.
and I
Yeah,
think
definitely
you do too.
Mhm.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions, comments? All right. Gentlemen, I don't think there are any other questions. At this time, we'll close that public hearing. It'll be appropriate to take action on this matter.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
I made the motion, Jay seconded the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Gentlemen, item M under my section is the adoption of a resolution that sets the creation date for the Langford Fire Protection District for July 15, 2024, authorizing publication of the resolution in accordance with 19.5.157. This is the next step in the process. You guys have already conducted a public hearing where you stated that for reasons of public convenience and necessity, it'd be appropriate to establish the Langford Fire Protection District. You set the boundaries. You called for a publication of the notice of that hearing. We had no one that showed up at that public hearing to state opposition. So this is the next statutory requirement, which is to tell the public what the start date is, and that triggers the responsibility of anyone in the public who is opposed to bring forward a petition that meets certain requirements to object to it. If that doesn't happen, the district's established officially and finally. And so this is just the next step in the process. I need a motion to approve
So moved.
this resolution.
All right, Scott makes a motion to approve.
Second.
Jay seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Gentlemen, the next item is discussion, potential action regarding updates to various memoranda of understanding between Rankin County and Scott County and Simpson County regarding 911 hosting service. Back many years ago, 2014? Yes, 2013, 14. The board at the time entered into memoranda of understanding with both of those respective counties to allow access by those counties to what was then our brand new 911 service called Intrado. It was a big time, massive upgrade to our 911 system. And we had additional space on our system to host surrounding counties and then allow them to help us pay for it. And so those MOUs have been in place now for 10 years. Remind me, Melissa, I think they were 5 plus a 5, and so we've hit the anniversary dates, and it's time to update those. And what we would like to do, with your permission, is to update those MOUs in concert with the respective counties and figure out what is the appropriate pricing for those hosting services and then bring those forward to you guys for execution. So what I need for you guys to do is to act now regarding those updates and authorize staff to initiate those updates and bring the final documentation before you.
Craig,
That's
Yes, sir.
still a good idea for us to do this?
do we have room still? Melissa, is the space there?
We do still have room. The reason this is coming about, as Craig mentioned, it's 10 years.
Yes.
10 years plus that the pricing of hosting fee has not went up. Rankin County has since, moved forward. We've moved the infrastructure into a hardened structure at no cost to the other counties. So it's time for
Negotiations.
It's time for negotiations to happen, because it's time for us to, update our contract for 911
Yeah.
services. And once we do that, some of their services may cease to exist if they can't update with us.
One
So
thing
is
that
this
we're
still a
gonna
good
do-
idea for us to do this?
One thing that we're gonna do, Jay, is we're gonna make it clear in the document that there is a hard and fast final date, and that by that date, which we are proposing is 5 years, at the end of 5 years, both of our counties have to be off our system. So that this is a limited 5-year extension of the arrangement at a greater cost to each of those counties, which, by the way, initial discussions have already been had. So we're making sure that they understand it's gonna be at a greater cost to them because the situation's changed. So they will know that it's gonna be at a greater cost, which will help us cover our costs. And there is a deadline of 5 years. They have to be handling their own 911 system.
Is this redundant? Is that what we're dealing with here? Redundancy?
Now services have changed so much that it might be feasible for them to go off on their own, you know.
I baited her with that question to get her up here.
This is
203 East.
This is Simpson County Road.
203 East
Well.
Government Street, Brandon.
When we started this, you know, I'm gonna give you a little backstory on it, if that helps, because some of you guys weren't here. When this first started, there was a push for, like multi-agency, just regional type thing for systems to tie in together. So Rankin County, we thought that we could kind of be a model for the state of Mississippi. That's kind of fell on deaf ears. So, but now they have made systems more affordable. They have like lighter systems that are for like 2 or 3 position agencies. So we're trying to make our price comparable to what it would cost for them to go on their own. So they have a choice. They can either stay with us and have the latest and greatest equipment when Rankin County upgrades, because for us but it's a compelling event for them, because when we upgrade, they have to upgrade. So, and we have reached out to one of them, and they're at the point where we really don't care. We don't want to come off of your system.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Melissa, if we didn't have them as we go to upgrade, would it cost us as much? Would we need as much memory, hard drive, whatever we're doing?
no, because that cost is passed to them.
So they're paying their part.
They're paying a hosting fee for us. And now, you know, some of our costs are gonna go up because technology changes daily, so some of our costs are gonna go up. And, I mean, we've just got to pass some of that off. Like I said, we've moved into a hardened structure. That has benefited them, and it didn't cost them anything, so.
In my heart, Simpson and Smith counties,
Scott.
Scott, I don't know, I'm not sure. But these counties are very rural, and if we can allow them to use our systems at a cost that it's that we're paying, or maybe a touch more, I don't have heartburn over them doing it. I mean, as long as we are recouping every bit of the cost that's associated with them using our system.
That's the proposal.
That's
Is
it.
this
Right.
adding any workload to you by them being on the system with us?
I'm sorry?
Is this adding any workload to you?
No. No.
We do have to
We
coordinate with
do, like, we moved it to the hardened structure, but that's not only for Rankin County, but that protects them as
Yeah,
well.
absolutely.
So anything for that matter, that's the only thing that we have to do.
In preliminary conversations, you believe 5 years is gonna be the, kind of the, see something?
Can we do a drop dead 5 years, but at that time, have an open negotiation?
Well, I think that's exactly the way it's gonna play out, Steve. If we get close to the 5 years and
Yeah.
they are in no way ready to go on their own, this board will have the option to renew.
Okay.
To renew it. That's why we kinda wanted, just something where we can come back to the table, because right now, as it has been, this has just kinda been 10 and 11 years that, we haven't even had a discussion
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah. And-
So, and this is gonna be our third upgrade.
Yeah, and just so you're aware, they're paying the same fee they were paying 10 years ago to Rankin
Well,
County.
that needs addressing.
Yeah.
We,
Right.
I mean, we know that.
No question. And they know it too.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
All right, what,
But-
what do we need to do to act on this?
You're authorizing 911 Board Attorney to finalize the MOU and get them executed, to reflect a cost recovery that makes sense for Rankin County.
We'll have all this in place prior to our upgrade.
and that's why we were coming to you guys first, budgetary reasons
That's
for
right.
us and them as well, so.
We have a target in mind.
I would like to know what those numbers are.
We will get that information to you guys.
Scott, what's your motion? 911 guy.
Craig?
Yes, sir.
The motion is to allow you and Melissa to have the conversation.
And Keith,
And
the
Keith.
county administrator, the administrative staff and 911 personnel to finalize the MOU and to address the cost recovery with Scott and Simpson. And once we're satisfied that that cost recovery is adequate, we'll get that information to you guys, but we'll go ahead and get everything executed and get it turned in to state level. I think we've got to coordinate with the state, right, Melissa? Once we get the MOU in place, there's some responsibility on our part to make those documents available to FEMA and.
Well, to our equipment vendor.
That's right.
To our 911 equipment.
Okay.
We'll do everything that's required on the backside of that to make sure that it's official. That would be the motion.
That's my motion, Steve.
All right,
Second.
that's Scott Berry's motion. Brad seconds that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Right, now, before we go, this reminds me, and Brad said something to me about it too. Over the weekend, we had a failure of utilities at our animal shelter, and it was shut down. As far as the electricity and stuff, our sheriff brought it to our attention, helped our EOC, I guess our maintenance guys, and Keith, everybody worked together as one and put it back working order, temporary working order for the time being, and I assume it's back on.
It is. It's back up.
Yep.
I think they had to work all weekend to
Yeah.
get the power restored.
They did.
So I thank everybody
Excellent
that
work.
was, that had anything to do with that.
Appreciate it.
Excellent work.
Yeah.
All right. Gentlemen, the next item is my item O, which is consideration of and potential action to adopt a local emergency declaration regarding dead or dying trees within public rights-of-way in unincorporated Rankin County. We've had multiple conversations about this over several successive meetings. This is item 10O, and so you should have a copy of the resolution itself in your packet that you can review to. I will highlight the purpose for this is so that we will be in a position to deal with an extraordinary amount of debris. The removed trees, we've got to deal with the extraordinary amount in a way that is economically feasible for Rankin County. What we're finding is that the way to deal with these trees that has always been in place is to to have them hauled to a Class 2 rubbish pit and disposed of summarily. That is not cost effective for the citizens of Rankin County. And so I need you guys to declare this emergency to help us, to put us in the best position to deal with state regulations that impede an alternate way of aggregating and disposing of this debris.
Do you want to say it?
There are certain regulations that are enforced at the state level that would put us in a situation where the most common sense way that you can imagine to deal with vegetative debris is not available to us. Absent significant heartache, headache, and all manner of, dare I say, nonsense. And so in order for us to be in a situation to be able to overcome that approach and give us a variation on how we deal with this that is cost effective, we need to declare this local emergency and open up the door for discussions at the state level that would allow us to use common sense approaches to what is a very temporary and overwhelming problem. We got too much, too fast, and we need to be able to stage, we need to be able to offload it and put it somewhere and park it for a period of time, and then systematically deal with it in a cost-effective way that does not include constantly paying high-dollar tipping fees to throw it over into a ditch, over into a gully, to be covered up. There's other common sense ways to deal with it.
Oh, yeah.
And I just need you guys to help us do that. So this resolution is very detailed in its, in fact, I will say, you are declaring that you want the debris to be dealt with using emergency procedures that conform to guidelines applicable, given the emergency nature, including but not limited to state non-hazardous solid waste management regulations. 11 Mississippi Administrative Code, Part 4, Chapter 1, Rule 1.1, Section 0. Just in case any of our friends are listening, we've got a level of detail here about what we want some help with that's in our resolution. So my hope is that we'll adopt this resolution. We'll make it effective to May 6, 2024, retroactive to May 6, and bring it forward for at least 150 days from that date, and we will revisit.
That's not long enough to
No.
cover the county.
It will continue to be extended. We're required by law to revisit the emergency declaration, Steve. We can't just set it out there for like 2 years. We have to revisit the emergency declaration. To the extent we need additional time, you'll be asked to update your emergency declaration and extend it for whatever period of time our state minders accept.
Well, a year is out of the question.
Yes, sir. I'm not familiar with emergency decks that can go that far.
I mean, my concern is we're getting into the summer. And if we have a dry spell like we had last year, we won't be able to get rid of this debris.
Right.
In the ways that would be most.
Understood. This is not
But
gonna
I guess
help
we'll
you.
just have to revisit it.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point, Steve. Thank you for bringing that up. This is not going to trump a governor, state of emergency, statewide burn ban. It will not trump that.
No.
So that's an excellent point. If we get into a situation where there's a state level declaration concerning a burn ban, we could have some issues. How we're gonna address the staged debris, however, will be in a way that is with a heightened sensitivity to safety of surrounding properties and utilization of equipment that is typical in such situations. I don't want to get too far over the line here. That we just need to be in a position to be able to address it as economically efficiently as possible. I think I've already said that. So what's the 150? That's really, honestly, that's beyond our typical emergency declaration. This board typically goes 30 days at a time on our emergency declaration. So asking for a full 150 is pretty hefty. That's a pretty significant request, but it was with an eye toward the magnitude of the issue, Steve. We know we've got to have a significant amount of time to deal with the debris that we know about.
All right.
Okay.
So I'd ask for a motion to
I'll-
approve that emergency declaration.
I'll
please.
make that motion.
Brad makes a motion.
Second.
Sid seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Further to that, your road manager, your consulting engineer, our environmental engineer have all been working already to address the preliminary work that's gonna be necessary to carry out what you just did. So I wanna tell them thank you for getting on it, and I think we've got a plan. And so we're ready to start moving forward and addressing that. Next item, item P, is the authority of the board president, county administrator to execute 2 MOU providing for obligation of American Rescue Plan Act funding to satisfy the arbitrary December 31, 2024 deadline that's set forth in that lengthy federal citation that you see there. There's one memoranda for each of the 2 agreements between the county and MDEQ under our grant program. This is an ARPA-related matter. This is very recent. DEQ came out with an update to the guidance to allow political subdivisions, counties and cities, to take care of that obligation of funds matter. So you'll be pleased to know that instead of basically having to guess or to rush a matter to get it under contract, this will satisfy, according to DEQ, this will now satisfy that obligation requirement without having to push a matter all the way into contract preliminarily.
Great.
So this will take care of that. You'd already indicated that you want all of your ARPA programming as originally approved by the board, probably 2 years ago now. You wanted that to proceed to completion. So this is now giving us a greater level of confidence that we're not gonna get hammered later, that we missed a deadline. By doing this today, I think we've satisfied that obligation requirement.
All right. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
I second.
All right, Scott makes a motion. Sid seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Acknowledgement, this is a lengthy, this board lawyer. Acknowledgement that the publication calling for bids in response to the county's semi-annual commodity bid notice requires responses on or before 9 a.m. tomorrow. We're not gonna be in a board meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m., at least I hope we're not. Purchase clerk and the county administrator are advised to receive the bids tomorrow, determine whether the bids are timely and compliant with the requirements set forth in the bid notification, to review those for compliance, and to bring forth recommendations at our work session on June 27, 2024. This is an acknowledgement that typically we have this done in a board meeting, and on this particular occasion, the way the board meeting dates fell, it didn't allow for us to do this in a board meeting, so we're acknowledging what's just happened here, and you're authorizing the county administrator and the purchase clerk to work together outside of the board meeting context and bring the recommendations just like we always do. We never award commodity bids the day we open everything, but we always like to open the bids right here in front of everybody on the record. That's not gonna happen this time, but you're still going to get your recommendations at the work session. Okay? So
Do I have
this,
a
I would
motion?
just need a motion to acknowledge what I just read out.
We have a motion?
Second.
All right, I made the motion. Jay seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, gentlemen, I've got an item in executive session that I need to go over with you. It's actually more than that. I know for a fact I've got one personnel-related item to discuss that's also gonna be a litigation matter, and I've got another matter that has to do with property, and so those will be discussed in executive. I don't have any additional business, you'll be pleased to know.
Okay, Mr. Hicks?
Thank you, Greg.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Item A is the UT Neely Creek Ditch Flood Impact Project. It's one of our ARPA projects. It's the approval of change order number 1 for remobilization and authority to issue the check in the amount of $58,125 to Hemp Hill Construction. This is our Pearl Highway 80 project.
All right, do I have a motion?
Motion approved.
Jay makes a motion.
I second.
Sid seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right. Item B, I'm gonna change one word in this. It's approval to reserve a county web address. This is with the state of Mississippi's domain name policy. We're just reserving rankin.county.ms.gov. We're not changing anything at this time. This is just to reserve it for future use.
Motion approved.
Second.
Jay makes a motion, Scott seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
That's all I have for the board this morning.
Anybody have additional business? All right, do I have a motion to go into executive?
I'll make a motion to discuss the need for executive session.
Second.
All right, Jay makes a motion, Brad seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, now then,
Personnel and
property, real estate.
Property acquisition, personnel, and litigation.
All right, I make a motion to go into executive session for those reasons.
Jay makes a motion,
I second his motion.
Scott seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. We are in executive